For his entire career in the Air Force and now as a defense contract coordinator, Mike Vinsick has worked a desk job.
In the Air Force, I flew a desk, so I was pretty much sitting like this most of the time. In my later years in the Air Force, then I was a little bit more mobile, but never any real physical work.
He countered that desk job with high-impact workouts, including running.
I ran the United States Air Force Marathon at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio in 2007.
Unfortunately, says Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute, both working a sedentary job and running marathons can be bad for your back.
People feel that it's great to run a marathon. I think it's a mistake. When you start to look at people that they run a marathon and then you see that same people when they are 60 or 70 years old, they are wasted. They have a lot of problems. They have hip replacements, knee replacements. Now, when you're 20 and you're 30, probably you can do those things and you feel great, but really it's not a good idea.
Mike says his back pain started decades ago.
I realized that about 15 or 20 years ago, I would have problems down in my lower back, and it would come and go, the pain, and sometimes when it would go out, I'd have a hard time doing anything. It would seem to go out more often and more often and more often. It was quite a problem even sitting in a chair to watch TV, and it really limited me on what I could do.
Mike tried a number of non-invasive solutions for his back pain.
I would use heat and pills, which I'm an anti-pain pill guy. I will take the pills only when I absolutely need them. So that was really about it. Oh, and I also tried a chiropractor. I did it one time. I believe I saw him 5 or 6 times. I would walk out of his office and they'd say, "How's your back?" I'd say, "It's feeling really good." But by the next day, it would hurt so bad. And it got so bad that I couldn't even run. It made my left leg, I would be limping as I was running.
Mike's pain began to affect his lifestyle.
Since my grandson's a little guy, we have to carry him sometimes or pick him up, put him in the car seat, and I couldn't do it. I wouldn't risk it because it would hurt me and I might actually drop him. And just around the house, playing with the dog, getting down low on the floor, it'd be kind of difficult. And also, I like to lift a little bit of weights. So I was, just as my running was, I was very limited in when I could lift weights because it would often be painful.
Mike's search for relief began several years before he came to the Bonati Spine Institute.
I actually began looking in 2009, 2010, and I had an MRI done. I saw a neurosurgeon, and he said because it would get better, he didn't want to do an operation on it.
But the pain did not get better.
We moved to Hudson in at the end of 2013, and I would always drive by Bonati, the Institute, and I would tell my wife, I'm going to go in there one day and get this back fixed. And finally, at the end of 2015, beginning of 2016, I had enough. And I made the appointment and took an old MRI. They did a new MRI and we went from there. When Dr. Uteg went over my MRI, he would show me, he showed me L1, L2, then L2, L3, and then he got to L3, L4, and he literally pointed out, and I didn't even have to ask any questions. I could see where the problems were, and he had me explain L4, L5, and tell me what was wrong with it. So I was able to repeat right back to him what was wrong with L4, 5, just because he showed me what L3, L4 was, how it gets when it's bad. I believe, if I recall right, I had it all. The lower back and the lumbar region, especially on the left side, and that's where they did the surgeries. And I don't know the pieces of the bones that are in there, but I know there's the little hole that the nerve is supposed to go through. And mine down in the L3, 4, L4, 5, and L5, S1 was literally, there was no hole, and the bones were just sitting right on top of that nerve, which was, of course, causing all the pain.
So, was the decision to undergo the Bonati spine procedures a difficult one for Mike?
I think the best way to answer that is I had my review on a Wednesday. And the following Thursday, I had my first surgery, so it pretty much, I was ready to go. And when we saw that in the new MRI, he said, "When do you want to do it?" And I said, "As soon as possible."
Mike had 5 Bonati spine procedures, all on his left side. Because the Bonati Spine Institute uses conscious IV sedation instead of general anesthesia, Mike was alert but pain-free in the operating room. He chose to view all of his procedures while they were underway.
They put a screen right down there. I was able to look and watch the screen, It was wonderful. My wife actually asked if she can go in and see one, and on the second surgery, she was in there observing as well.
Mike also communicated with his surgeons and anesthesiologists during the procedures, helping to pinpoint the root of his pain.
They also talked to me about pains as they were touching the nerve. I had to explain where the nerve was being touched, and it would be either the lower leg or the foot or the upper leg. It was kind of interesting.
It's the same thing that if I will grab your hand and I will say, is this your thumb? Then you go, yeah, that's my thumb. But that's exactly what the patient feels, because you need to be very gentle. You're not going to punch the nerve or something like that. You just rub a little bit the surface of the nerve, and the patient goes, whoa, 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 that's my pain. I recognize that's what hurts me. And now you go and say, is this exactly where you hurt? And usually they go, no, it's a little bit more lower, or it's a little more higher. And then you just move the probe till you reach the area.
This interview was conducted with Mike just 2 weeks after his final procedure.
I'm back on the treadmill. I'm not running. The doctor doesn't want me to run, probably for the rest of my life because of that heavy impact. But I'm walking. I'm not having any problems walking. I'm able to get down on the floor and throw my dog's little toys. And I'm doing pretty much anything. I did pick up my grandson yesterday when he was here, and I'm not having any problems at all.
Mike says he wishes he'd taken action to resolve his back pain a long time ago.
I highly recommend do it, get it done. Don't wait till next year. Set up your appointment, get your MRI done if you don't have one, and see what the doctor tells you. You may see that your nerve is crushed right inside that little hole, just like mine was, and you don't want to live with that. It's not worth it.